That's where the time froze earlier. I wonder what it is now. I'll press refresh. It's now 2:16 a.m. on the 20th of August in Jackson, Wyoming. 216. 216. That's 6 times 6 times 6. And William Martin was born on the 6th of September. He's turning 17 on the 6th. William Martin. Oh, it changed. Well, I was going to say his name is here, like 149 is the value of his name. But it's changed. And we had Nathan David Breeze, 159. So we had 14.9 and 15.9. But it has since changed. And now, oh yeah, and we had Yiming. Yiming equals 73. The same as Sexy, 73. Boy Jacob is 73. Sexy, Yiming. And now we've got Jacob Wetterling, 164. Well, you probably don't know what I'm talking about, but I don't just see numbers. See, 618, I just said, 6 times 6 times 6 is 216. True. And 6 plus 6 plus 6 is 18. Martin was born on the 6th. Next year he turns 18, but this year he's turning 17 on September 6th. So there's going to be a sign at 1:37 a.m. on September 6th. And it's serving twin purposes. Like this twin purpose to the sign, which makes sense because Steamboat Geyser has twin vents. Two vents are better than one because you can send two messages at the same time. One to Martin and one to Jacksonville. And they're both equally important. So Jacksonville, you need to evacuate because there's a killer hurricane that's going to hit you soon, in a few weeks. Earlier today I said in a month or a month and a half. I think it's actually sooner than that. More like in a month or maybe less. So maybe 3 weeks. A hurricane. Yes, a hurricane. And the warning is coming from Gabrielle, the archangel. It's 7 days, 3 hours and 56 minutes since the last eruption of Steamboat Geyser in Wyoming. I was just saying that 7.3 is the value of the word sexy. Well, whip equals 56. Whip. Whip has the same value as friend, strangely enough. And daffodil is 57. Sexy daffodil. A sexy daffodil. Who's that? Martin. Martin equals 67. 2 evil. Evil is 48. And there's 2 of them. So what are they? If there's 2 of them and they're evil, oh, they must be his butt cheeks. Martin has evil butt cheeks. Fetish is 67. Satan is 55. 224 is a good number if you're into spanking. Which not many people are, but a few people are. The odd person is, here and there. Sadist equals 72. Sadist. The angel is 72. Now, if it's consensual, it's all good. It's fine to be a sadist if you're honest. Just like being a masochist is fine if you're honest. But what when you're not honest? What happens then? Well, it's like being gay. If you're not honest, it tends to cause issues. If you use the criminal justice system to punish people in a way that is I don't know, kind of similar to what kinky people do, but on steroids. So you might say, well, kinky people like to do this kind of stuff. They like to be tied up to a whipping frame or whatever, a trestle, a big wooden trestle, tied up and whipped, but in reality, nobody really wants to get flogged in the way that this guy presumably was flogged since this news story was published. Fantasy and reality are different, if you know what I mean. £37,000 a year is a lot, unless you're a wealthy businessman, which his dad was a wealthy businessman. So, spoilt? Actually, no. His dad used to cane him as a boy, which is not probably a common experience, given that he's 29 years old. Most people his age probably grew up never feeling the sting of a cane. Easy to assume someone's spoiled. Assumptions are the mother of all. Yeah, one of my friends used to say that. So kinky people might do a role play where they're doing something like this, but they're never going to be hitting with the force that they hit with in a place like this, where the pain, is just like, well, it leaves scars that are permanent, put it that way. It's Cat 5 intensity, Category 5 intensity. That's the thing. It's so intense, it's so hard, that unless you've experienced it, you can't imagine it. It's like a Category 5 hurricane. And there's going to be a Category 5 hurricane that is going to reflect this man's experience in Singapore, because he's already experienced it. He knows about Gabrielle. Gabrielle is an angel of God, archangel. If you spell God backward, you get dog. Having a dog of a day? You bet. I'm strapped naked to a trestle, and they're hitting me with a cane as hard as it's humanly possible to swing a cane. I would call that a dog of a day. Totally. Even if it was only 3 strokes, it would be a dog of an act. He wrote to the president. I'm not sure what the outcome was. I'm not sure why he was sentenced to such an extreme punishment. A guy who essentially is a peace-loving guy, a DJ, someone who likes to move people in a good way with music. So yeah, let's torture him. Oh, it's not torture. Oh no, of course not. No, it's not torture. No, it's like, this is how you make people feel at home in Singapore. It's not torture. This is just how we make people feel happy to be alive. It's interesting, huh? So the British are doing what they can to support him back in January, but then there's silence ever since then, so I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened since then. Did they flog him? I don't know. It's important that we know, because it's going to be reflected in a hurricane. a hurricane that's going to hit Jacksonville. It's kind of weird because I had a dream that Yiming was flying a plane the other night. A little plane. A tiny little plane. England. He's English. He's from London. There's something weird going on, man. There's something wrong with Gabrielle. You bet your ass there is, says Gabrielle. I'm not her. I'm not that torturing bitch. Gabrielle, that's not me. 6:27. Jake equals 27. Jake's mirror boy, born on Friday the 6th. There's a message for him, and there's a message for Jacksonville. Jacksonville. Steamboat geezer. Steam. Give me steam, and how you feel can make it real. Real as anything you've seen. Peter Gabriel. English singer. No light in your bright blue eyes. I never knew daylight could be so dangerous. No light in your bright blue eyes. I never knew daylight could be so violent. Or dangerous, for that matter. That's Florence and the Machine. There was a hurricane named Florence last year in the Atlantic. Gabrielle, Archangel. The bitch stole my name. And she's a monster. She's the worst monster you've ever seen. Have you seen The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe? Jadis? Imagine Jadis. Imagine her at the height of her powers. That's Gabrielle. She's not God, but she has taken the place of God. She's a sadist. Sadist is 72. Cain is 23. She's the sadist Cain. She's the pain. Blaine is a pain, and that is the truth. Jake Chambers wrote that in his English essay, and then he couldn't remember writing it because he was traumatized. 233, Jacob Irwin Wetterling. 16-year-old Martin, his birthday's on the 6th. Twin daffodils means two bulbs. Daffodil is 57. Jayton is 46. Bad equals 7. Bad Jayton. He's a bad boy. He has a twin, Demas. Demas also equals 46. Speaking of twins, Daniel and Samuel are the identical twins in Red Rain. Not the song by Peter Gabriel, but the novel by R.L. Stein. Samuel equals 71. The same value as Gabrielle, 71. Dreadful equals 71. Dreadful. Gabrielle. Unlucky, 13. Nathan was 13. Jake was 11. 11. How do we know it's Gabrielle? Because she's a reflection of the cruelty inflicted by the government, the judiciary, the courts in Singapore. Yiming Yuan is not the only man, who has broken the rules and found himself being not just punished but tortured by the authorities. This is becoming a trend around the world. Imprisonment, torture, abuse of human rights. It's becoming a real disturbing trend. It's almost like the Nazis won the war, which means a lot of soldiers sacrificed for nothing. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? Yiming Yuan is sending a warning to Jacksonville. What they did to my butt cheeks, it's going to be reflected. It's what Yiming suffered. His pain, his suffering is going to be reflected. Hurricane Gabrielle is a sadist of the worst kind. The worst kind of sadist. They have no empathy. There's no light in her bright blue eyes. I never knew daylight could be so violent. Do you know what I mean? If you live in Jacksonville, you've got a chance to get out of town and avoid the Cat 5 cane. I had no chance because they strapped me to a frame. A big wooden frame. And then they caned me. If you want to know how many times, if you want to know how hard it was, if you want to know the devastation that it caused to my butt cheeks, look at Jacksonville after Hurricane Gabrielle. Don't let her fool you. She's not Gabrielle. This warning is coming from Gabrielle. This warning is coming from the torture victim. Twins. Butt cheeks. There's two of them. Identical. Daniel and Samuel. The Identical Twins in Red Rain by R.L. Stine. He was 17 when he did some naughty stuff. Naughty stuff in Great Britain. He was underage himself, selling false IDs. He's naughty. He's a naughty boy. He deserved a punishment, but a punishment is not the same thing as torturing someone. It's different. When you cross that line into torture, you lose all your whatever it is you thought you had, authority. You lose all of it. Your moral, what is it? The high moral ground that you had, you've lost it because you've broken the most important laws in the world. Are the international laws against torture. The UN conventions against the abuse of human beings. The abuse of human rights. There are no more important laws, and the people who break those laws are the worst criminals of them all. And you cannot have people being held in jail by the worst criminals in the world, because that makes no sense. And that is a dog act. What is the shadow of God? Well, just watch Gabrielle. Watch what she does. Watch the one that has the name of an angel, the status of an angel, but behaves in a way that is truly sadistic, in a way that you could never describe as kinky. You could never describe it as anything other than sick, depraved, horrifying. Torture. So you can't have a torture victim being held in jail by the people who tortured him, because that makes no sense. Joshua equals 74. Joshua. Twin bulbs. Twin bulbs, if you write that out, it has a value of 122. And that's where we know the time from. Steamboat geyser in Wyoming. It's going to erupt when? The time's going to be 1:37 in Canberra on September 6. 1:37 a.m. on September 6 in Canberra. Martin's birthday. 6 sixes are 36. Martin's birthday is September 6. At 1:37 a.m. there will be an eruption. Who are we talking about? We're talking about Martin Swain. Martin Swain equals 149. My name equals 147. Philip Kelly, 147. Martin Swain, 149. 13. When I was 13, something happened to me. Something traumatizing. Something that I haven't really felt believed about by many people. But a few people have believed me. Makes a big difference when you're believed by somebody. 13 was the age of Nathan, when he left this world in a state of immense, incredible trauma. 37 minutes. Hell is 37. Fire is 38. It's going to be 37 minutes past 1 a.m. in Canberra. So what's the time going to be in Wyoming? It'll be 9:37 a.m. on September 5. Because of the time difference of 16 hours, it'll still be September 5, and it will still be a.m. September 5 in Wyoming. It'll be 9:37 a.m. when Steamboat Geyser erupts. A major eruption, the red eruption of Steamboat Geyser, is coming. Red rain is coming down. Red rain is falling down all over me. And the Red Sea, it was a dog act. What they did was a dog act. Sadists who disguise themselves as God, wear the clothes of angels, and torture people in positions of authority. The Nazis won the war. They all died for nothing. The time is frozen. Did you notice? It's not moving. A boy is stuck in time. His life ended. In Hurricane Gabrielle. He drowned. The storm surge took him. A boy named Nathan Jackson. Is there such a boy? Is there a boy in Jacksonville named Nathan Jackson? Probably. It's a big place. Over 1 million people there. Refresh. Angel 39. Pain is 40. Tuesday, 20th of August 2019. Mountain Daylight Time, MDT, 13 plus 4 plus 20 is 37. It's going to be 37 minutes past 9 a.m. on September 5 is Thursday. We can catch up next Thursday at 1 p.m. We can catch up next Thursday at 1 p.m. So what's this Thursday? This Thursday is the 22nd. 22, the most powerful number in numerology. It's the date when Jake was abducted. Abducted by a man named Daniel. Daniel's the evil twin in Red Rain. The twin of Samuel, but Samuel's the one who has the dangerous gift. Pyrokinesis. 22. Jake abducted and murdered on Sunday, the 22nd of October 1989. If you come back a month from Jake's murder, exactly a month earlier, there was a hurricane. There was a hurricane in the USA. A big one, a bad one. It was a hurricane that my favourite meteorologist almost died in. Plane almost crashed. And a couple of nights ago I had a dream that Yi-Ming Yuan was flying a plane. The hurricane I'm talking about was Hugo. It came in onto South Carolina's coast at Charleston. And I think this one's going to be similar. Gabrielle's similar and yet worse, because she's more tricky. She's more of a trickster. But she comes in further south. And she's moving north at the time of landfall, ploughing into the coast right on Jacksonville. A worst case scenario because she rapidly intensifies as she approaches the coast, coming in from here. A rapidly intensifying monster hurricane, killer, destroyer, mass murderer. Storm surge, the likes of which the US has never seen. And the likes of which it probably won't see again for a fair while. 3:42 a.m. Central Daylight Time. Tuesday, 20th of August 2019. When you experience massive trauma, like I did when I was 13, it leaves an impression in your body as well as your mind, as well as your spirit, your soul. Hugo is a place in Minnesota. It's a place in Minnesota. It's a town. Jake's from Minnesota. Jake, I call him the Storm Boy. I have been calling him that for a long time. He was murdered by a guy named Daniel. Abducted and murdered. Exactly 1 month after Hugo made landfall. On Friday, September 22, 1989. So what's going to happen on the 22nd? Something for sure. Thursday. We can catch up. Next Thursday at 1 p.m. Blaine is a pain, and that is the truth. Blaine equals 43. Jadis equals 43. Jadis, the queen, the white witch, in The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. If you want a visual on Gabrielle, go no further. That's her. CDT, Central Daylight Time. Hugo, Minnesota, 1 hour later than Wyoming. Joshua equals 74. If you go 4-7, it's Aslan. Aslan. Twins of 145. Something important has that value. I don't know what it is. 145. 14.5 in Melbourne and Brisbane. How weird. 22 in Perth, exactly. 11-year-old Jake, murdered on the 22nd. Hugo made landfall on the 22nd. 12-year-old twin brats, Daniel and Samuel, in Red Rain. 2 of them, age 12, brat equals 41. Do you get my drift? Probably not. 22. Lucifer equals 74. Do you get my drift? There's punishment that is meant to be like, I don't know. I thought if people are drug addicts, you try and reform them, like you try and rehabilitate them. If you have any kind of human decency at all, you try to help people who have drug issues. You don't torture them. That's what I would have thought anyway. If a person was like, no, what I need is a good flogging, give me a good flogging. Well, okay, you might say, okay, fine. Give them a flogging, but you're not gonna do it in a way that scars them for life. And you would only be doing it if they asked for it. Because have you heard of this thing called respect for free will? Because it's kind of like the whole reason the soldiers sacrificed. At least that was my understanding. Was my understanding. That's why the soldiers sacrificed. Was for freedom. But what is freedom? See, Singapore has a very good relationship with the West. With Australia, with England, with the US. How is that possible? Did the Nazis win the war? I guess they must have. If you're wondering what I'm suggesting should be done, Well, for starters, you can't have someone being held in prison by the people who have tortured him, because that simply does not make sense. It simply can't be like that. That is a violation of basic human rights at the most fundamental level, if you stop and think about it for just 5 seconds. From a human perspective, with a little bit of empathy, and this is a guy who has a lot of love in his heart. Jake sees it, I see it, Nathan sees it, we feel it. And that's why this warning, this prophecy, is directly connected to this man. What is the shadow of God? Is it the shadow of the dog? It's the same letters. Spell God backward, you get dog. Spell dog backward, you get God. Rearrange Santa, you've got Satan. Who is Satan? Oh, he's the boy down the bottom of the tower getting flogged. He's the whipping boy of God. Oh, right. Oh, well, he must be bad then. He must be a real bad little brat. Oh, yeah, he is. Don't feel sorry for him. No, just let him suffer. Let him suffer for 20 years after being flogged like an animal. I think that's appropriate. Oh, yes, so do I. Yeah, totally. I have no sympathy for him whatsoever. He's a spoilt little brat, and he was a drug dealer. What more can you say? Oh, nothing more. There's nothing more to say. Humans are weird. You know that? Bloody weird. Two-faced hypocrites a lot of the time. And when you're the survivor of something like, I don't know, a predator in a park when you're 13, you start to work something out. When you start talking about it to people and saying, oh yeah, and I'm gay by the way. Yiming Yuan isn't gay, he wants to be able to get married and have kids. By the time he gets out of jail, it'll be too late. His life will be gone. See, there's cruelty and then there's just outright sadistic torture. That is so disturbing. Archangel Gabriel has turned his head and gone, what the hell is going on? 3:49 a.m. Central Daylight Time, and who the hell is wearing my clothes and my name? It's like, you know, Aslan? He actually gets a little bit pissed off with Jadis. Did you notice that in the movie? He doesn't exactly forgive her for taking the place of God and turning everyone into stone statues. The control freak bitch, doesn't he like basically destroy her in the end? The roar of the lion, doesn't it strike fear into her heart like nothing else? I think it does. Gabriel has turned his head. He's like, what the hell is going on? Hell is where this boy is. What's he done? What exactly has he done to deserve what you did to him? Singapore. Who is running this jail? Who's running this prison where they do these things to people? And how does the West have such a cozy, good relationship with such evil, sadistic torturers? Seriously. Gabriel wants to know. I want to know. Jadis, Gabrielle, the one who wears the clothes of the angel. Jesus Christ is 151. Phoenix. Nathan is a boy of the Phoenix. He died in a firestorm. A hell of a way to go. Who the hell is wearing my clothes? Who the hell has stolen my name? 74 is Joshua. Joshua. Jesus. 74. Lucifer is 74. Twin bulbs. 122. Twin bulbs, because there's two of them. A reflected bulb. Bulb equals what? Does bulb equal 37? Angelic, 51. Demon, 51. What do you like the sound of more? Angelic, demon, or demonic angel? I know which one I prefer. 6 written out as a word equals 52. It's the value of Josh. Josh has the same value as devil, 52. September 6. The time in Canberra will be 1:37 a.m. In Wyoming, subtract 16 hours to get the time there. 9:37 a.m. It'll be 10:37 a.m. in Minnesota and 11:37 a.m. on the East Coast, I guess. I think 2 hours might be the difference between Wyoming and Jacksonville. 7:4. Joshua, Lucifer, Joshua, Yiming. We're not talking about a guy that was tied up and flogged 2,000 years ago. We're talking about a guy who was tied to a trestle and flogged like an animal, I assume, in 2019. Yeah, we are. That's what we're talking about. That's why Gabrielle has turned his head. Because he wanted life to be fun, epic, and memorable for this man. Not a hellish experience of extreme trauma. Ideally. In an ideal world, but this is not an ideal world. His sentence, which is excessive, like Gabrielle, her intensification is excessive. A rapidly intensifying monster, torturer, sadist, killer, and they mock the victim. They always do. The torture victim always gets mocked. Jesus was mocked. Joshua, Ewan, Yiming, Ewan, Joshua, Y, the letter Y, is 25. It's the 25th letter of the alphabet. Josh is 52. Why me? Why did you have to give me such a... You know what it is? How sometimes you do things that you just don't know why you did them. It's like... everyone does. You can't explain why you did it. It's like, well, I don't know why I did it. It was stupid. But most of us don't get tied to a trestle and flogged for it. That's the difference. Like I said, he's a loving guy. He's got love in his heart. And you know what? Jake and Nathan, they like Yiming Yuan a lot. They think he's a top guy. Top notch. Loving. It's something that's rare in today's world. A genuinely loving, real person. By the age of 29, most people are, I don't know, like zombies. This guy has love. And love, real love, is rare. DJ, helper, angel. And they tortured him like you would not torture anything. You would not torture anything like this. Any creature. Unless you're a true sadist. So it comes down to pretty basic stuff here. Actually. Pretty basic stuff. Pretty simple. When you get rid of all the stigmatizing, labeling crap It's pretty simple, and that's why Gabrielle, the angel, has turned his head. And he's looking at a boy frozen in time, unfrozen now. 157. That's the value of the name of the man who kidnapped me. 157. 157. 175 is the value of Steamboat Geezer. It's not in Arizona. It's in Wyoming. Wyoming has a place called Jacksonville. Not quite. It has a place called Jackson. It's not far from Steamboat Geezer. It's pretty damn close, actually. 2 daffodils. Twins. A reflection in a mirror. A reflection of what was done to a man who is a peace-loving man. Jackson, Andrew Jackson, has the same value as Yiming Yuan. Jacksonville in Florida. Sexy Jacksonville. Sexy bum cheeks of the DJ destroyed by sadists. There's a reflection. A very scary reflection. Yiming, sexy, 73. Sexy Yiming. He was sexy, he still is, but his butt's been destroyed. I think so anyway. We'll find out soon, because it's going to be reflected, because Jacksonville, Andrew Jackson, and Yiming Yuan have the same value, 138. Jesus Christ is 151. Holy Spirit 151. Philip Kelly 147, that's my name. Punishment 139. Punishment is, what is it? It's firestorm. That's what Nathan thought as he was leaving this world. God was punishing him for something. Some sin he'd committed, some thing he'd done to offend God, obviously. Firestorm, 1, 2, 3. Narcissus is 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, look at me. Sexy, 73. Boy Jacob, 73. Nice boy, 73. Yiming, 73. The 17th of the 2nd. I get so fed up with the two-faced, shallow crap that comes out of the pretty much everywhere now. It just comes from everywhere. The 17th of the 2nd is Jake's birthday. Friday, the 17th of February. There's the odd person who talks sense, you know? They're pretty rare. They're around, but geez, you gotta look for them these days. Everything's just become so professional. So much professionalism. Jake Chambers, The Boy in the Dark Tower by Stephen King, if you read the first book. I think it's the first book. It might be a couple of books in, actually. He doesn't know it yet, but he hates professionals. And now I know why. It's because they're so shallow. Shallow. They make rules for this, and they make rules for that, and they enforce all the rules, and then they make more rules, because the rules they've already got are not working. It never does work. Rules, making more rules, and enforcing more rules, it's not the way to fix things. You actually need to value honesty for starters. Try that. Try actually valuing a little bit of honesty. And you might find that'll get you a lot further. If you want to keep kids safe, don't ban kids who post photos on Instagram or Facebook or YouTube of themselves in their shorts, because that is self-expression. And when you ban that, you're doing nothing to keep kids safe. That's what's happening now. It's like, it's becoming a real joke. Oh, the big oh, let's all show what we're doing to keep kids safe by banning kids from expressing themselves. Yeah, freaking fantastic idea that is. Obviously, you've learned nothing, literally nothing at all from history. Yes, let's put kids in. Let's make them wear long shirts and trousers, and next it'll be veils over their faces. Jacksonville, Florida, and teenagers too. In fact, anyone under the age of 18, because we really want to keep kids safe. You know, we really do. That's why we're banning all the kids who express themselves honestly. It's disgusting. Break their hearts. Oh, we care so much, we shut down their accounts and we break their hearts. Yeah, I can tell how much you care. Devil is 52. There's the devil coming. Daniel actually has a line that he says in Red Rain. Daniel is the devil in the story, but he doesn't see himself that way. He says something which I like. It's probably one of my favourite lines from any story. And it came from such a simple little story by R.L. Stein. He's talking to his twin, Samuel. And Samuel's like, he's quite keen just to enjoy their time. The time they've got, you know. They've got time to enjoy heaven, as he thinks of it. Because they were in hell, they died in a hurricane. And then somehow they came back. So they spent a lot of time in hell, because when you go to hell, you go there for eternity, you know. Especially if you're deemed to be evil, like Satan, you get sent to hell for eternity. So it's a long time that you're suffering there. And having come back from hell, having come back from an eternity in hell, Samuel is really keen that they just enjoy heaven. The sunshine, the fresh air, the scenery, the beaches, the nice ocean waves, everything. Just enjoy it, Daniel. Can't you just enjoy it? Just relax. And Daniel's like shaking his head, going, Sammy, Sammy, Sammy. We may be in heaven, but there's a devil on our cloud. That's what he says. We may be in heaven, but there's a devil on our cloud. This coming from Daniel. Daniel is the devil. Gabrielle equals 54. Gabriel, archangel. Love is 54. Michael is an archangel. A demon decided to put on Michael's clothes last year and go on a killing spree, also in Florida. The other side, the Panhandle. A storm surge of truly frightening proportions hit Mexico Beach. I guess you could see Mexico Beach as the left butt cheek and Jacksonville as the right butt cheek of the DJ, perhaps. Except, maybe not. Because the caning hadn't happened yet. You know what was happening back then? There was another human rights violation case that was blowing up in the media at exactly the same time that Hurricane Michael was slamming into the Mexico Beach community. It was a Saudi journalist. Yeah. I'm sure you remember. It was all over the news. Poor guy. He just wanted to get married. And they tricked him. This is what they do. People in government, people in positions of power, they can be very deceptive. Very deceptive. Scary deceptive. Sadist equals 72. Sadist. It's kind of weird because what were we just looking at? A tower. I guess you could say that's a tower. And The Dark Tower is a novel by Stephen King. Blaine is a pain, and that is the truth. The Dark Tower equals 148. Black Saturday equals 138. 138 is the value of Yiming Yuan. It's also the value of Andrew Jackson, the founder of the city of Jacksonville in Florida. His name has a value of 138. It's 13.8 degrees in Brisbane. My name has a value of 212, like my full name, including Andrew in the middle. Andrew Jackson equals 138. Philip Andrew Kelly is 212. The 12-year-old twins. The boy turning 17 on September 6. And Nathan Breeze, 119. Nathan Breeze, the angel, is 72. Sadist is 72. Today's the 20th. Nathan Breeze, and 37 is the number of minutes after the hour. It's going to be 37 minutes after 1 a.m. in Canberra, Sydney, Melbourne, Australian Eastern Standard Time on September 6. It's going to be 9:37 a.m. on September 5